Everyone must be extremely familiar with the standard story of Cinderella, that they could recite it right from the start. Therefore, I won't trouble myself with the repetition of the cliché, once upon a time, and I will start my story from when Cindy has grown up. We all know that Cindy and her stepmother didn't go along very well. However, as respecting elders is considered to be a lost virtue amongst the new generation, Cindy tried to respect her stepmother, at least on the surface. Despite her respect she showed in public, she often spread horrible rumors about her stepmother, such as how badly she treated her and how she called her Cinderella, and so on. As you can see from the picture below, Cindy was not a pretty girl, but she did her best in dressing herself in an over-exaggerated way so as to attract everyone's attention. Often, she deliberately dressed herself in rags when the neighbors came to visit, so as to misinform them of how harshly her stepmother treated her. However, Cindy's stepmother was a tolerant woman, so she naturally wouldn't fuss over Cindy's attitudes. As for Cindy's stepsister, she was Cindy's complete opposite. Unlike Cindy, who only stared at the mirror all day, Cindy's stepsister was a naive and pretty girl, and also extremely talented, knowing how to play the piano, paint, draw, and many other things. One day, messengers from the palace came to announce that the youngest prince has decided to host a Christmas party in order to look for his new bride, and he would like to invite all the unmarried girls in the kingdom to attend the party. Cindy, who was eavesdropping by the door when the messenger came to visit their house, thought darkly to herself, "This is my chance to become a princess and live happily ever after with a handsome prince by making him fall in love with me." Nevertheless, Cindy knew very well that no matter how hard she tried to beautify herself, she would still seem ugly in comparison to her beautiful stepsister. Therefore, she came up with an ingenious plan, that is to add basil leaves, which her stepsister is allergic to, into her drink. On the day of the party, after adding basil leaves to her stepsister's drink, Cindy quickly gave it to her stepsister. "This juice is especially for you. I've read on the internet that oranges add color to your cheeks to prevent you looking pale. I'm sure that after drinking this, you'll be the focus of the entire party." The hypocritical Cindy continued, "I won't go to the party, as there would be no point anyway. I look so ugly. No doubt that the prince won't even look at me for 1 second. Therefore, I give all my best wishes to you, my dear sister." Despite the fact that Cindy was now an expert hypocrite after being it for the entirety of her life, her stepmother was still able to look straight through her and immediately recognized that deceitful smile of hers, that Cindy is up to no good. However, her stepmother still acted as though as she knew nothing and continued on watching TV. On the other hand, the naive and unsuspecting stepsister was very grateful to the considerate Cindy and quickly finished her drink in one gulp. However, to her dismay, spots began to appear on her face one by one. The allergy has commenced. Since Cindy declined to go to the party, the stepsister still felt obliged to go to represent their family despite of her allergies. Therefore, Cindy's stepmother hurriedly dressed her daughter. "OMG, you are so beautiful even when your face is like this. Never mind the spots. I'm positive that they'll soon go away before anyone notices them. Don't worry. You still have a chance of letting the prince fall in love with you at first sight." The hypocritical Cindy continued, as the stepmother felt disgusted by her lies and wicked action. However, as she did not yet have sufficient evidence of Cindy doing it on purpose, her stepmother still did not show her emotions, but instead quietly waited for the time to act. After her stepmother and sister left the house, Cindy began to get very busy. What mischief is Cindy up to this time? On the night of the grand ball, many people arrived late. Therefore, the starting time was delayed and delayed. Just when everyone seemed to have arrived and the prince began to say his welcoming speech, suddenly the door to the grand hall opened. A beautiful lady wearing an azure blue dress slowly walked into the hall whilst apologizing with a silky tone for arriving so late. At that very instant, the focus of the entire party was on this mysterious lady, especially the prince, who found himself unable to take his eyes off her. Who exactly is this lady? The question lingered in everyone's mind, unsolved. During the entire party, the prince refused to dance with anyone except this pretty, mysterious lady. Everyone else was obliged to watch them dance with jealousy. Several times the prince tried to inquire the lady's name. However, every time her reply was always only a smile. Until eventually she said, "You can call me Cinderella. At least that's how my stepmother calls me." After overhearing their conversation, Cindy's stepmother immediately recognized this mysterious woman to be no one else other than Cindy. However, she began to doubt herself. How does Cindy make herself look so beautiful? But the truth is undeniable. She is Cindy. After days of hard work of researching on the internet on makeup skills, Cindy was able to transform her ugly self into a beautiful, stunning woman. What a miracle. Before very long, the clock of the church struck 12 in a far distance. It's midnight already. Cindy hurried out of the hall down the stairs as she knew that the party was about to end and she had to arrive home before her stepmother and stepsister in order to prevent them from finding out her secret. The prince was so shocked and extremely reluctant to part with the beautiful lady. He said, "Come back, the party hasn't ended yet." Cindy didn't even look back when she sped down the stairs. However, she remembered to deliberately place her shoe on the staircase in case the prince couldn't find her afterwards. As this pair of shoes was borrowed from her stepsister, whose feet are a size larger than that of Cindy, it was very easy to slip it off without delaying any time of getting home. How cunning Cindy is. When Cindy arrived home, she hastily removed all her makeup and returned all the things that were borrowed from her stepsister, including the shoe and the dress. When her stepmother and stepsister got home nearly an hour later, all they saw was Cindy sitting casually on the large sofa, watching TV, looking like nothing has ever happened. The doorbell rang. It was the prince coming with the shoe to visit Cindy's home in order to search for the mysterious lady at the ball. Cindy was extremely shocked by the prince's arrival as she did not expect him to come so early. However, the stepmother smiled knowingly, since in the morning she went to check the prince's Facebook page and already discovered the change in his schedule. She was ready to take her revenge on Cindy for her appalling actions of treachery and malice towards her own daughter. When the prince took out the shoe and was about to announce the purpose of his arrival, Cindy's stepsister exclaimed, "Isn't that my shoe? How did it get there?" Indeed, this was her shoe, and she was completely ignorant of the whole event, as Cindy did not ask her stepsister before she borrowed it to go to the party. Cindy looked on to see things getting worse and worse and starting to get out of her control, and the prince was so close to falling into her trap that she could not completely bear to give up now. At the last minute, so she quickly explained, "Please don't listen to the lies of that ugly, pathetic, and shameless woman. That shoe is mine. I was the one who danced with you all night. Don't you remember?" Now it's stepmother's turn to be shocked. She knew that Cindy was a hypocrite, but didn't know that she was that terrible. The prince responded, "How dare you act in such an impertinent way in front of me? You are the one that is ugly, pathetic, and shameless, as you are insulting my memory and my taste. I am positive that you did not attend the party last night, and even more certain that you were not the one I danced with all night. But don't you worry, you will surely get invited to the next Halloween party. From your wicked attitude and appearance, you won't even need to put makeup on to make you a brilliant witch." After the prince has finished, he quickly helped Cindy's stepsister to put on the shoe. As it was naturally hers originally, Cindy's stepsister fitted the shoe perfectly. Meanwhile, the stepmother said, "This is not enough to prove her identity. Please excuse us for a moment, Your Highness," as she led the stepsister upstairs. After several minutes, the entire room was shocked to see that the person descending the stairs was exactly the mysterious lady that attended the ball. In fact, when the stepmother came back from the ball, she immediately searched her daughter's wardrobe and found that the one worn by the mysterious lady was indeed no other than her daughter's dress. Plus, Cindy's stepsister was naturally beautiful and a brunette. She needn't even to put on any makeup to look exactly like the mysterious lady at the ball. When the prince set eyes upon Cindy's stepsister looking exactly like the mysterious lady from the previous evening, he immediately proposed to her, to which her stepsister gladly agreed. The handsome prince immediately led Cindy's stepsister onto his royal carriage in order to return to the palace for the preparation of their grand wedding. The stepmother waved goodbye to her daughter as Cindy was speechless from shock. How did the entire event turn out so different to her anticipation? So, this is the real tale of Cinderella, but most people do not know of the entire incident. Therefore, they all presumed that the bride of the prince was Cindy herself. The whole story passed on from one person to the next, and from one generation to the next. So the story was transformed to the tale of Cinderella that we are so familiar with today. Therefore, next time when you hear another familiar story, don't forget to think to yourself, is this really what happened? The end.